It's Mad Dog Unleashed with Christopher Russo. Back to you, Doggy.
Returning here on Mad Dog Unleashed, great to have you with us. We've been having a lot of Indiana discussions this week, a lot of calls, which is good to see. The heartbread of basketball in the Midwest and a lot of Indiana fans wanting a comeback, and they hope that Mike Woodson can deliver. Why not? Mike, of course, played for the Hoosiers, longtime NBA player, coached in the NBA too, and he joins us here on Mad Dog Unleashed on our Friday. Coach, good to talk. Congratulations. How are you today, okay?
Great, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Oh, great to have you with us. First off, I heard that you really did a nice thank you for Thibodeau and Dolan for allowing you to take this job. You were a very important cog with this Knicks coaching staff, and they both, nobody ever gives Dolan a compliment. Good to see you do it, and Thibodeau's done a great job, and you gave him a shout-out, too, for allowing you to go to Bloomington. Let's talk about that first, Mike. Go ahead. Let me hear.
Well, it meant a great deal to me. I mean, this university is really been my life. I mean, I've given so much, back to this university, and they've given so much to me over the years. And to be able to come back and coach this basketball team means a great deal to me and my family. And, Jim and I are very close. I have the utmost respect for Jim Dolan. He was great for me when I head coached that ball club. He gave me the latitude to do my job, as well as Glenn Grunwald, who was my boss. And we were able to win basketball games to get that team back on track. Me pairing up with Tom Thibodeau was, the biggest treat of my life. I've watched Tom from afar. I coached against Tibbs over the years. And the one thing I'll tell you, Tibbs teams always compete. And to be able to sit next to him in the office and talk basketball and share ideals, it was just unbelievable for me. So I hated to leave that group. The front office people, the crew in the video room, which were my guys, the coaching staff, front office. It was just a wonderful working relationship. And, I'm going to miss those guys, but I wish them nothing but the best. But Jim Dolan was good to me in terms of letting me out of my deal. And I thank Jim Dolan from the bottom of my heart because that meant a great deal.
How about that? Great job there, Mike. And I tell you, you look at your career, we'll get to Indiana in a minute. You in a lot of ways were a little unlucky. You get to Indiana the year after they go undefeated, so I'm sure night was no day at the beach at your first freshman, October 15th. And then you leave before they win that second title. So, you were at Indiana in that 4-year period in between Title I and Title II. That is very tricky for a young player to go in Bloomington because he's got the expectations of the unbeaten team. He's trying to build that second team, and you're flush right in the middle. Fascinating. Let's talk about that for a sec. Go ahead.
Well, that team, we all grew together over the years. And when we became seniors, we were ranked number 1 in the nation that year, if you recall. And Randy Whitman, who was a junior at the time, broke his foot. And I went down with back problems where I had to have back surgery. A lot of people don't remember that, but I only played 14 games my senior year. And if you probably ask Coach Knight what was probably the most talented team that he had over his career, he would probably say my senior year team because we had Isaiah at the point guard. We were just stacked and destined to win it that year. It was the best team that I had been a part of since I'd been here at Indiana University. But unfortunately, the injuries creeped in, and not having Randy Whitman on the floor, who was a big piece to the puzzle, and me missing most of the season, we just couldn't get it done. It would have been a perfect ending for me because the tournament that year, if you remember, Chris, was in Indianapolis, where I'm from, and it was on my birthday. The final game, so I wasn't able to get to the big dance. I think Louisville won it that year, but it was a great career for me. I can't complain by any means, man. But I wish I was able to have gotten one, but I didn't get it. So
I remember that year. I was a sophomore in college, so I remember that year pretty well. And I remember, they beat Kiki and the kids. I remember that season. And you're right. I don't remember you being hurt, but I do remember that Indiana team was excellent. When they won the next year and beat Carolina on the day that Reagan was shot, which was the anniversary here, last couple of days, you were a rookie with the Knicks. Did you lament the fact that you were a year too early retiring, leaving Indiana because they won the title the next year? What was your remembrance of that when you're basically trying to break into the NBA with the Knickerbockers? Go ahead.
Well, I thought it was fantastic that they won it because it was basically the same team minus me, Grunwald, and Butch Carter that made that run to win the national title. So I was happy as hell that they had won it because they deserved to win it because we had put so much time, with that team over the course of my tenure there at Indiana University that they were in line to get it done, and they got it done. So I couldn't be more proud for them. I was trying to deal with my great legendary coach, Red Holtzman, who told me my rookie year, rookies were to sit and learn. And I was so used to playing that I sat and I learned the NBA game that one year under his tutelage and was able to have a successful career in the NBA as a player.
Wow, we'll get to that in a minute. I didn't realize that. You had Holtzman your rookie year, played in, he was an NBA player, Holtzman, won the 2 championships with the Knicks, and is a legendary figure basketball-wise, if you don't know this, in Indiana, in New York. Mike knows it. Legendary.
Absolutely.
So you had read that first year. So you sat there and you barely played. So you sat there and watched 82 games on that Knick, and that probably wasn't a good Knick team. So you sat there and watched the whole year, Michael?
No, Chris, it was a really good team. We won 50 games.
50 games.
50 games in the NBA. You're doing something. But no, I told Reg one day when he told me that, he said, well, rookies are to sit and learn. I said, well, hell, I wish you would have told me that before you drafted me, But I had no choice. They drafted me. It was a great run in New York that year. We lost, in the first round of the playoffs in the little mini series when they had them back then. But it jump-started my career, and Red was instrumental in making that happen, and I went on, to an 11-year career as a player in the NBA.
Yeah, I think they may have lost to Houston, but I'd have to go back and look. Was it Houston there, Mike? 2-1? Was that what it was?
No, that year we lost to the Chicago Bulls in the first round in the mini-series in 1980.
All right, very good. Now, the other thing that's interesting is you had a hell of a run with the Kings in Kansas City and then later Sacramento. I mean, I knew you were a good player. I did not realize you were averaging 17, 18 points a game in the NBA. Now, I believe you got to Kansas City the year after they got to the conference semi and lost to Houston. You can help me on that, but I do know that you had Cotton Fitzsimmons for a while. And Cotton was one of the most always coaches of bad teams, but a hell of a coach. Tell me about the days at Kansas City and Fitzsimmons and those ball clubs you had out there. Let me hear. I'm interested.
Well, I want to send a shout-out to his wife, Joanne Fitzsimmons, but, Cotton's no longer with us. But Cotton was my friend, my mentor, and my coach. He was probably one of the closest NBA coaches, along with Larry Brown, that I had developed a relationship with, and I mean a long-standing relationship. And Cotton, he gave me the freedom to play. He kind of ran a motion type offense, kind of what I was used to here at Indiana University under Bob Knight. So we hit it off. We clicked. And my days playing for Cotton in Kansas City was a good run for me. And, I miss Cotton because he was the one that got me started in coaching. I had never thought about coaching until he gave me the call one year when he was coaching out in Phoenix with the Suns and asked me to come out and be his assistant in the summer league. And that's kind of how I jump-started my coaching career.
How about playing in Kansas City and then moving to Sacramento? I mean, people don't realize there was a team in KC, and then you got to Sacramento when they first started. Interesting transition for you, Mike. How about that? Let me hear.
That was a great story in itself because, when we left Kansas City, I felt so bad for the city of Kansas City and the fans. But when we went to Sacramento, it was like playing in a college town because we were the only act in town. And it was incredible. I remember starting that first season in Sacramento. We got up to such a bad start and then ended up with the third best record the second half of the season behind the Lakers and the Celtics to make the playoffs. And we were a young ball club. They just made some mistakes in breaking up that young team too soon. And after we made the playoffs that first year when the team moved from Kansas City to Sacramento and they busted the team up, they didn't make the playoffs for, I think, 10 straight years after that. And it was such a shame because we were a young, up-and-coming team that I just thought that they should have held on a little bit longer, but they did. But that was, for me, it was a wonderful experience. And a lot of the guys that played on that team, we're still close today and talk all the time. So it was a good run in Sacramento the first year, but I wish I had stayed a lot longer because I really like Sacramento. It's a great city.
All right. Who was? I remember that now. Who was? You and I are about the same age, so I can follow this carefully. Who are the players on that team, that Kings team? Who else did you have on that ball club?
We had Reggie Theus. We had Eddie Johnson, Larry Drew.
Yep.
We had trying to think, LaSalle Thompson.
LaSalle Thompson. Yeah, you had a good team.
Yeah.
You're right. You had a good ball club.
Good
ball club. Yeah, very.
Mike Bratz.
Mike Bratz, a little guard. Yeah, sure. Very
Mark
interesting. Oberding, the big center, went to Utah later on. Yeah, wow, how about that? I know the players, absolutely, and that Sacramento team did make the playoffs. All right, so you get into coaching, and you get 5 years. After a while, you end up in Atlanta. I read the Knight quote this week. Only guy in the history of the NBA who had 5 winning, got better every year in Atlanta, and somehow they fired him. Give me some thoughts on the days with the Hawks. Go ahead, Mike. Let me hear.
Well, again, I had a group of owners that were fantastic for me. The Garens, the ownership group out of Maryland, that, gave me the opportunity to build a basketball team. They gave me 6 years 4 years first, and then they extended me 2 more years. But, the beauty about Atlanta, I had just left Detroit after winning a title with Larry Brown, and that was probably the greatest experience of my life as a coach. And I went into Atlanta after getting the job after that Detroit run, and they basically gutted the team, gave me young 18, 19, young Josh Smith, who was a young player who became a wonderful player in our league. They gutted it, gave me a bunch of young guys, and my staff and I, we built the team. And that team became a really fun team, I thought, in Atlanta. I thought the fans in Atlanta became very supportive of our ball club. And for me, coaching, there 6 years, I still make Atlanta home, and have a lot of wonderful people that I had met over the years there that still support me. And, it just kind of parlayed my career in coaching to other areas. After I left there, came to New York, and then I went to L.A. and then back to New York. So it's been a good run for me in terms of coaching and being able to coach with a lot of wonderful coaches and at the end of the day, trying to win basketball games.
Mike Woodson, of course. Mike, did you think that you were going to get another crack? I mean, you're 62, 63 years of age. You're with the Knicks. You don't know what the NBA scenario is going to be. You didn't think college. Did you think you'd end up as an assistant? Did you think you'd get another crack at being a head coach somewhere on the horizon in the last year or so? Did you think that?
Well, how old did you say I was?
What are you about? Those 60s, right, Mike? How old are you?
Shoot, I just turned 42.
We all think that, Michael. We all think that. Did you think you'd get another chance? What was your take on that in the last year or so?
Well, I think when you coach and you're hard to be fired. I get that, and I've just tried to be consistent and try to do the right things everywhere I've been as a coach. And I've tried not to step on anybody's toes from a coaching standpoint. I've tried to help people in the coaching game, and I've tried to learn as much as I can when I'm working with people from a coaching standpoint. And, yes, I've been fired. I've been hired. I've been able to fulfill dreams that as a kid I probably never imagined doing. But at the end of the day, I was persistent in terms of pursuing this job. I always wanted to come back home. And, I've pretty much accomplished everything that I wanted to do in life in terms of my career as a basketball player and as a coach. And this is kind of the last straw for me. I mean, to be able to circle back and coach this great institution, the history behind Indiana University basketball, it means a great deal to me and my family. I mean, hell, I'm from Indianapolis. I'm from this state. And I put 4 wonderful years here, man, and for President McRobbie and Scott Dawson, our AD, to give me the opportunity to come back here, it means a great deal to me, man. So I got a lot of work to do. I understand that, and I'm up for the challenge. I just got to take it a day at a time and keep pushing to try to get this team back on top. That's the name of the game.
What's the biggest adjustment you're going to have to make? You've been in the NBA game for a long time, now back to college. What's the biggest adjustment you're going to have to make here this first season?
Well, again, it's all about relationships. With this new NCAA ruling where players can enter the portal to leave your school, I'm dealing with that just like every other university basketball program is dealing with. And I'm trying to keep my players from leaving, and I know I'm going to have to add players to get better. That's what it's all about. We've done that at the NBA level, and it's no differently than the college level in terms of bettering your ball club. I got to go out and recruit players along with my staff to get better. And in doing that, I got to put them in a system that makes them successful in helping us win basketball games. That's what it's all about. And I got a lot of work ahead of me, but I'm up for the challenge.
I know you got the one big player there in the portal. Do you feel confident you'll be able to bring him back?
Well, we're working on it. That's my first priority is to keep our big fella Davis. I need him in an IU uniform next year. He had a wonderful season this past season. Unfortunately, they didn't win, and I get that. But he was fantastic in the Big Ten from a scoring standpoint and rebounding the basketball. And I need to put some players around him and keep some of the players that we got here that I think can help us win basketball games. But he's my first priority. There's no doubt about that.
All right. I know you've whispered that maybe you'll bring Larry Brown back to be a bench coach. Is that possible?
Well, there's been talk, and, Larry and we talk pretty much every day, so we'll see where we are with that.
That's a possibility, too. We just had Larry on, folks, on our NCAA podcast. And, we all know Larry, if he can help any staff, that's for sure. There's a big challenge for you, Mike. This is fun. You deserve this opportunity. Have you pinched yourself the last 5 or 6 days? Let's hear about that. Go ahead.
It ain't about pinching myself, my man. It's about getting to work and putting people around me that can help me. I'm a realist, man. It ain't about Mike Woodson, man. It's about this program and trying to get it back on top, and that's what I'm going to try to do.
Wonderful, wonderful job, Mike. Thanks for giving me so much time here today. Keep up the good work. We're going to root like hell for you. I think Indiana hit a home run. Nice job. Keep up the good work. Appreciate a few minutes.
Thanks, Chris, man. That means a lot to me, you saying that. Thank you very much.
You got it. Mike Woodson, you coach of IU. Great job. We continue here on Mad Dog Unleashed on our Friday. We're back right after this.